talk about fixing the gut. And people are thinking, what is this fixing the gut? Why should we fix the gut? But I've constantly told you multiple times that that organ called the gut, the tube that moves from the mouth to the anus, that is a very important tube there. And the reason why that tube is there is because it's actually going to protect you. It is one of your immune systems. It's part of your immune systems. So when I tell you to fix the gut and you're wondering, why should I fix the gut? Like, what is so important about this gut that I, Lewis, have to fix just because you, Dr. Lewis, has come out with an idea that people have to fix their guts? What is the gut in the first place? The gut is that tube, about 8 meters or so from the mouth all the way to the anus. That tube has a lot of things. Number one, in your mouth, you have saliva. The saliva in your mouth has enzymes, it has immunoglobulins, the immune cells, of course. It has proteins, it has all this. It even has painkillers. And actually, there's a component in the saliva that is as potent as morphine. This is the reason why when you bite yourself, you don't feel pain so much. You just feel pain pop once you bite yourself, and after that, you're good to go. And again, the healing process comes in because we have the cells for immunity in your mouth, and they come in and rejuvenate. And also the buccal cells, the cells that line the mouth, are actually epithelial cells that are rapidly multiplying. When I mention the word rapidly multiplying, I want you to always remember that when you're going for chemotherapy, basically cancer chemotherapy, because chemotherapy can actually mean antibiotics also. So when you're going for cancer chemotherapy, remember that that chemotherapy targets rapidly multiplying cells. Now, you've said in your mouth you have rapidly multiplying epithelial cells that line the mouth. So if you have a chemotherapeutic agent that is targeting rapidly multiplying cells, that means that agent is going to cause you side effects like oral ulcers. So they always have mouth ulcers. That's why even their mouth starts to turn pink. You've seen that? And I'm saying this in relationship to that lady who was just, that player who has just received the diagnosis of cancer. Okay, so understand that. Also, other rapidly multiplying cells are the ones that line the gut wall, are the ones that actually line the gonads in the testicles and in the ovaries, are the ones that actually are in the bone marrow. So all the side effects of chemotherapeutic cancer agents, I call them cancer agents because I don't want to generalize chemotherapy. So those cancer agents that actually are supposed to treat cancer, they end up destroying these rapidly multiplying cells. That's why we end up having gastric ulcers, the mouth ulcers. We have skin problems because also the skin is rapidly multiplying and rejuvenating. We have gonads because the sperm cells, the ovaries are actually producing a lot of cells that are rapidly multiplying. And therefore, when you suppress the growth of cancer, you end up suppressing these rapidly multiplying cells without even wanting to. That's why chemo can actually expose you to more problems. Actually, it exposes people to more problems than it actually solves, given that it also causes cancer. So yeah, you can do your maths. Can you prevent cancer, or can you go ahead and get it and now you can treat it? Choose you. So yeah, so your mouth is lined by those rapidly multiplying epithelial cells. We have the saliva that has all these antibodies. It has all the immune cells. It has all the mucus. It has fluids, the water. It has salts. So it's a very rich fluid that we take for granted. We even exchange it. So we've taken saliva so much casual that now we are exchanging saliva. But I want you to also understand, in your mouth, we have a lot of bacteria. We have a lot of microorganisms. And if any case, the number of microorganisms in your mouth are so many, they are even exceeding the amount of bacteria that line your toilet seat. Those of you who still sit on the crown when you're going to release the toxins. So yes, so there's a lot of bacteria in your mouth, and these bacteria, both good and bad bacteria, and these bacteria have to be protected by all means. When we talked about the oral hygiene earlier on, we talked about how the commercial toothpaste, we talked about how the mouthwash that you people use, the one that starts with L, it has alcohol, and alcohol comes in to clear all these good and bad bacteria, and then now messes up your bacterial environment in the mouth. That can be very detrimental to your health. So remember, those bacteria are not there for fun. They are there as part of your immune system. So in your mouth, you have all this immunity. So by the time any microorganism is getting into your stomach, already it has actually been super, and then it has overpowered your first layer, which is the saliva. And we are talking about this because we are going to relate this to typhoid, which is Salmonella typhi, and also to brucellosis, which is a group of microorganisms that actually cause the brucellosis disease. Okay, so this is a problem. So when they exceed the immune in your mouth, they now have to flow into the stomach. Now, as you got into the stomach, there's a lot of barriers here. So these microorganisms will not just survive in your stomach. That's why our people, our traditional people, or our great grandparents did not experience these conditions as much. Even though they will lie to us that, you know what, those days there were no technologies to detect Salmonella typhi or to detect brucellosis. These are people who survived on milk. These are people who survived on meat. These are people who survived on water that was just being taken from a stream without having to boil it, and they just drink it. And there was no diarrhea. There were very few cases of diarrhea. They lived longer than we are living now. So when you get into the stomach, there is that thing in the stomach called HCl, hydrochloric acid. One of the mistakes that all of us get involved in is to eat foods that totally mess up that acid in the stomach by either neutralizing it or reducing its production. Now remember that your gut wall has cells that produce this acid. They are not producing that acid for fun. They are producing that acid because it has a reason, it has a role there. And among the roles of that acid in the stomach, because that acid is so strong to an extent that if you ever happen to swallow a blade or a spoon, it will be digested, it will be actually melted because of the reaction of the acid to that spoon. So that acid exists there for a reason. Reason number one, you see there is something here. There is something that closes here so that food goes one direction. This is called a sphincter. So between your esophagus and the stomach, just the junction that the esophagus joins the stomach, there is a sphincter there, some muscle. That sphincter is called the cardiac sphincter. The word cardiac is in relationship to the heart. Because remember, there are two. There's this one, there's another one that empties the stomach into the small intestine. That is called the pyloric sphincter. This one is the cardiac sphincter. And the reason why this cardiac sphincter is here is to just make sure that food goes in one direction, doesn't come back. So we're already starting to get deeper into it. Look at it this way. Anytime you're traveling and you feel like you want to vomit, that tells you that this sphincter is actually loose and you're actually bringing back the content. Anytime you're pregnant and you're constantly vomiting, it means that your stomach, your womb is pressing against the stomach, and this sphincter is weakening up and then opening up, and contents are coming back. Anytime you're experiencing a reflux disease, the GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disorder. Most of you call it hyperacidity. Most of you call it heartburn. Your heart is not burning. It's just the esophagus that's actually being irritated by the acid, the content of the stomach coming back to burn your esophagus. Now remember, this esophagus is lined by cells also that are rapidly multiplying. So therefore, they are not adapted to the strong acid. So if that acid comes back, or even a base, if that acid comes back, it will destroy those epithelial cells. When it destroys it, it exposes the esophagus to more danger, or even to mutations that will actually lead to esophageal cancer. Are we together up to there? So therefore, this sphincter is very important because its role is to make sure that these foods and this content of the stomach are going in one direction and there is no coming back. That is role number one. Now remember, we've said the esophagus does not have mechanisms to protect it from the corrosive contents of the stomach. But remember, the stomach has mechanisms to protect itself from the acid that is being produced by the same stomach wall. So that stomach acid can actually digest even the wall, including pepsin. Pepsin is another one, a protein that can actually become a serious problem to your gut wall. That's why it's produced as pepsinogen, an inactive compound. Anyway, the stomach wall or the gut wall is lined by mucus, is lined by bicarbonates, is lined by water, because again, mucus is just 95% water. And then it's very thick. So it's lined by things that can actually protect it against the acid. So if the acid tries to get in contact with the stomach wall, it gets the bicarbonate. And remember, acid is actually hydrogen ions, H+. And bicarbonate is H3O negative, HO3 negative, sorry. So when the acid gets in contact with these bicarbonates, it's neutralized. So along the stomach wall, we will find mechanisms that will neutralize the stomach acid, therefore it will not affect the stomach wall. So when you tell me about hyperacidity, I'm telling you, you are lying, because hyperacidity means excessive production of the acid. There is no way your body will just wake up one day and start producing excess acids. That is not making sense. Acids are produced according to the demand. That is one. Number two, unless you have a gastric tumor, a tumor in the stomach wall that is actually causing excessive production of the acid, there's nothing called hyperacidity. We are going to measure the stomach acid by the concentration, leave alone the volume, the concentration. So as long as it's between the pH of 1 to 3, we are safe because it's strongly acidic. So you see the gut already protects itself from the acid. Now, if you mess that protection layer of the gut, that's when you suffer gastritis, and then a prolonged gastritis gets you into ulcers. So you've actually thinned that protection layer of the stomach by 1, taking alcohol, by 2, smoking cigarettes, by 3, taking the NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, the diclofenacs, the brufen, the meloxicams that you people use when you're suffering from menses, that you use when you have arthritis and there's so much back pains and knee pains, that you use when you have an injury, osteoarthritis. So all of them are actually coming in to mess up the stomach wall. That's how they end up causing a problem. Some of them, like aspirin, is actually directly acidic, so it actually destroys the stomach wall directly. And then drugs that are called the steroids, prednisolone used for asthma, hydrocortisone used for allergies, dexamethasone used to actually broaden hips in ladies. All these drugs, they thin that layer, the protection layer of the stomach, and therefore you expose the stomach content to the wall of the stomach, and now you get the ulcer or the gastritis. So gastritis is inflammation of the gut wall. Remember the TIS? Yes. So chronic gastritis will end up leading you into an ulcer. An ulcer is a wound. So for you to heal that wound, the first step is, of course, thicken the stomach wall. The first step is not you going to neutralize the stomach acid. No, the first step is find mechanisms to thicken the stomach wall. And thickening the stomach wall is actually a very, very good way and a natural way of healing the ulcers as compared to neutralizing the acid. Because if you're going to the way of neutralizing the acid, that's how you end up using those antacids and the PPIs. Nexium is part of the PPIs. It's actually esomeprazole. And you know very well that you people, your cars and your offices are full of these things. They are full of these antacids. If they don't have Gaviscon double action, they have Relsagel or Alucid or Nexium or Pantoprazole. All of these are actually the PPIs that, one, they block the production of the acid, so they block a biological process. Why would they come in to block the production of the acid when that is a biological process? Unless you have a tumor, and if you have a tumor, there's just need to go and remove the tumor so that we reverse the condition. We don't need to take Nexium. We simply focus on the cause, which is the tumor. We remove the tumor, we are good to go. So therefore, there's nothing like hyperacidity. So stop telling people that, you know what, I have hyperacidity. You don't have hyperacidity. You just have a diet problem. You're a wheat addict. Anyway, so one, that stomach acid helps you digest protein. Remember we said we have HCl in the stomach that is very strong, and it has a role there. Role number 1 is to help you digest protein, because HCl is the one that actually converts pepsinogen to pepsin. So it clips up the pepsinogen, and then you get pepsin, and now that pepsin is the one that actually helps you to chop proteins into smaller amounts. The larger chunks of proteins are chopped into smaller amounts, which we call the polypeptides. And then these polypeptides will go into the small intestines, where they will be further chopped by pancreatic peptidases into amino acids that you absorb. So when you eat meat, you don't absorb meat. And this raises the question, why are we told that red meat is better than white meat? Yet the absorption of the meat is not the red meat you'll absorb amino acids. You'll not absorb fish, you'll absorb amino acids. So why is the red meat a problem? The truth is, red meat has never been a problem. Processed red meat is the problem because it comes with MSG that messes up your gut. Let's keep moving. So one role of that HCl is to destroy, to actually digest protein. Number 2, you see this sphincter? When the acid in the stomach is highly concentrated, very low pH, 1 to 3, that is a signal that is sent through the nerve that is called the vagus nerve into the brain. And the interpretation is, if this acid goes back into your esophagus, you're going to suffer. So what do we do? Please send a message back to this sphincter so that it closes up, so that nothing comes back. Remember that thick layer of the stomach is not the same layer that is lining the esophagus. The esophagus is just epithelial cells. They can be destroyed. So anything that is coming back, whether it's weakly acidic or strongly acidic, will destroy the esophagus. So we must maintain normalcy by closing this sphincter. So if the stomach acid is highly concentrated, the sphincter is totally closed. Are we together up to there? So that is function number 2 of the HCl in the stomach. Close of this sphincter, so that you don't ever receive anything coming back. So therefore there will be no gastritis. Not gastritis, esophagitis. There will be no reflux disease. There will be no heartburn. There will be no vomiting, because once you close this sphincter, there's no vomiting. Food goes in one direction. Now at least you can talk about diarrhea, but not vomiting. So those people who always, when you just take a vehicle, you just sit in a vehicle or a public service and a public service vehicle, and then unanusa your roof, when you smell the petrol or the diesel, you are puking, you are vomiting. This is the time for you to actually fix the gut. So those Plasil medication, those metoclopramide and promethazine tablets that you take for motion sickness are not going to come in handy if you have a messed up gut. You will constantly receive the same problem. When you fix the gut, that problem disappears. Is that so hard to do? So that is function number 2. Function number 3. This stomach acid is there for a reason, and that reason is to actually protect you from microorganisms that are coming in through water and through food and also through air. Now remember, we are constantly living with microorganisms in the environment. They never harm us. They're actually there for a reason. God put them there. We even have more of these microorganisms in our stomach or in our gut, and their role is to actually improve our immune system. So when you mess up the concentration of microorganisms in your gut, of course your immunity goes down. And how do you mess it that way? Most women are so good at messing their children's gut by giving them milk formulas, by giving them pasteurized milk, by giving them, there's this water that relieves colic that has sugar. You know it? There's that water that is given to children when they have colic. Instead of just rubbing their back after breastfeeding so that they can actually burp, you end up giving them that fluid. And that fluid has sugar. So you're actually messing up the environment of bacteria in your gut. Yes, Winnie, that's the one that I'm talking about. Yes, Nonza, you're true, you're right. That's the one that I'm talking about. So it has sugar as an ingredient, and that sugar ends up messing up the stomach environment. And now we start having new bacteria developing in the gut of the child, which are not supposed to be there. Remember, in your stomach, you have the acid. So therefore, only bacteria that have adapted to living in acidic environment can actually inhabit the stomach. So if we weaken that stomach acid concentration, what happens is you start growing bacteria that are actually not used to inhabiting an acidic environment. So those that live in basic environment, that in the small intestines, they will now come into the stomach and start affecting the stomach, and that's how we start having these abdominal upsets, diarrhea, indigestion, and all that. So that is function number 3. Is your immune system protects you against gut microorganisms that are coming in with food, water, and air. Now, part of those microorganisms is typhoid, cholera, dysentery, the one that causes dysentery, amoeba, protozoa. All these are coming in with food and water. And the weird part is we cannot live without them, including H. pylori. They are coming in with food and water. So we cannot avoid them because they are there. They are part of our ecosystem, and we need to preserve them anyway because they don't harm us. As long as we are living in a perfect state, they will never harm you. The problem is we end up messing the stomach environment, and now we want to blame microorganisms because we keep on playing victims. This is the same case with COVID, where fat people were actually the ones who wanted other people, the lean people, to wear masks to protect them. Fat people have very low immunity. So instead of them trying to fix the immunity by losing the weight, the only thing they did is to tell the lean people who are trying to lead a healthy life to put on masks so that they can actually be protected. Yet the problem is there. So they don't want to own the problem. They want other people to come in handy to actually make them live a safe life. So if you're fat, immunity is actually going down. Fix the fatness. Okay, don't be emotional about it. If you're emotional about it, just fix it. Fix it. Anyway, so that is function number 3. So 1 keeps in check the bacteria in your gut, maintains the immune system there, and number 2, it helps you digest proteins, and number 3, it helps you to close this sphincter. I want you to focus on that protein digestion part because you've heard the news or the new studies that say if you eat meat, it will stay in your stomach for 8 hours. This is actually an agenda that is pushed by vegetarians. And I've never understood why vegetarians will prefer demonizing meat instead of just marketing their vegetable diets. You see, that's where the problem is. When you start demonizing salt so that you can justify sugar, I start sensing there's a problem here. When you start demonizing meat so that you can actually sell your agenda of vegetable diets, I'm like, No. Just sell the agenda without having to demonize something else. At least tell us something. Don't tell us, meat will stay in your stomach for 8 hours. This meat has worms. We know it has worms. We have worms everywhere. But we have a stomach acid that is supposed to actually destroy those worms. So why are you telling me that? Are you trying to scare me so that I can actually enhance or take your line of thinking? Just market your vegetarian diets easily. I'm not a vegetarian advocate. No, I advocate for eating healthy foods, and vegetables are part of it. All the same, so this Acid is there to help you digest protein. So if you have a concentrated stomach acid, there is no way you're going to have meat in your stomach for 8 hours. It doesn't make even sense. It doesn't make even sense. This body is designed very perfectly. So imagine now you have the acid in the stomach and you still eat meat, and meat stays there for 8 hours. These are people who actually understood that biochemistry and actually the process of digestion. They understood we have a stomach acid to actually help us digest the protein. But they'll still overlook that because they want to sell a stupid agenda. Doesn't make sense. So if you have strong acid in the stomach, you will never have meat in your stomach for 8 hours. It will be digested so fast, and then these smaller polypeptides shall be channeled into the small intestines for further digestion. So those are the roles of that acid there. And then finally, that acid keeps the population of microorganisms in that gut safe. So you'll only have the best or the healthy bacteria in the gut, the ones that are actually working for you, which live in the acidic environment, over the ones that are actually coming in to destroy your gut when the gut pH is actually increased, or you have this problem with the gut. Even nutritionists say that meat stays for 8 hours. They don't have an idea. They sat in a biochemistry class, but they sat near the window. So everything came here and got out. They just crammed, and then they went for internship. And unfortunately, nutritionists are not paid on internship. Some of them are not paid, I believe. So of course, that pressure comes from there. They want to just go through the internship quick, fast, and then practice. And again, you're just as good as your mentor. The person who mentored you, or the person who guided you through your internship and all that, is the person who actually indoctrinated you. Possibly is the same person who taught you in school. So of course, you just regurgitate what they said. And if you ask your nutritionist, how does meat stay in the stomach for 8 hours? They will never tell you this concept of acids. Fortunately, we have nutritionists on my platform now that they understand this. So they can actually sing this to you with a lot of confidence, as compared or as opposed to those syllabus nutritionists that just regurgitate the syllabus telling you that beans are proteins. Okay? Good. So that is one. Now from the gut, from the stomach, now we head into the small intestines, through the duodenum, into the jejunum, and into in the ileum and all that. In the small intestine, the pH changes. Remember, in the stomach, we have acidic pH. So everything, proteins are digested there. There's very minimal absorption in the stomach, apart from alcohol and sugar, and sometimes salt and water. So there's very minimal absorption in the stomach. We just digest these bigger chunks and we release them. In the stomach also, we don't digest the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are digested in the mouth. They get into the stomach. They are pushed into the small intestines for further digestion. In the mouth, there's no digestion of fats. In the stomach, there's no digestion of fats. So fats are pushed direct into the small intestines for further digestion. So fats are the only ones that are digested in the small intestines. Okay? And why are all these things going there in the small intestines? Because there's a perfect organ that is called the pancreas. This pancreas is a super organ that can actually carry the entire process of digestion single-handedly. So when you eat bad foods, what you're doing is you're actually overworking that pancreas. Remember that digestion is not the only role of the pancreas. The pancreas also produces insulin. The pancreas produces glucagon. These are hormones that are intended to actually help you regulate blood sugars. So when you eat carbohydrates, you absorb glucose, blood glucose goes up, the pancreas gives you insulin to help you pump this glucose from blood into the stores for utilization or for storage, into the cells for utilization or for storage as fats. Glucagon, on the other hand, when you're starving, when you're fasting, it simply goes into the fat cells, into the stores, burns the fat to give you energy to keep you going, to sustain you. Therefore, there's no way you will fast just because, you'll faint just because you're fasting. The body is designed perfectly to make sure that when you're fasting, it is burning fat to give you energy. When you're eating, it is actually storing energy. So you should be in a burning state more than you are in a storage state. That's the safe state. And that burning state is what we call the fat adapted. The storage phase is what we call the carbs dependent. I feel like I'm preaching something here. Let me take some water. Yeah? And by the way, all of us, we know, we struggle with that ego inside us, okay? The evil nature. The good thing is we see it coming. We struggle with that evil nature that tells you, when I'm deadly. All of us struggle with that evil nature. Oh, mean him deadly. Mean nakunga mbaya. You know that ego? Yeah, that you're trying to do something like, by the mean him Z. Mean him Z. That is ego. So always fix that ego. Just see it, watch it coming, and relax. Identity Fridays. We are coming back on Friday. So tomorrow we are resting, but to Friday, Identity Fridays. So ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed, please, if you've never subscribed to my YouTube channel, Health and Wellness Sport, go there and just press that subscription button. I'll be so glad to have you here. Because once you do that, you receive health content for free. You just sit back and enjoy. Just get the notifications and pop there and you're like, new information is coming in. Amazing story, right? If you've never followed me on TikTok, just press that follow button and just enjoy health content for free. If you do wish to support our channel through maybe an M-Pesa message, I've pinned a pin on YouTube. You can actually use that to actually send us something to just make sure that we can improve in every aspects of life. So thank you for your support and we appreciate you. So let's continue. But before I do that, let me just put out this contact. There's a contact that I use for my consultations that you can actually use, 0707074722. That's a number that I use for my consultations, both online and physical consultations. And we do them every evening, and the physical consultations happen at the end of the month in Nairobi. So you can actually join us for those and see how far we can actually take your health journey. And I appreciate you for actually trusting us with your health. Good. Mickey has pinned it on TikTok. Thank you, Mickey, for that. Now, we also sell merchandise, fermented cabbage, of course. Those of you who have tested our fermented cabbage, they know how awesome they are. Good, so you go and buy those fermented cabbages. You support our platform through that. They are at Imenti House, and Brian can actually serve you at Imenti House, the entrance opposite Beba stores, second floor, shop number 60. The contact is always on my Telegram channel. I have a Telegram channel that is a super one. You can join in. At least there we hide most of this information there because some of them we cannot spill them out here. We will be destroyed so fast. So go on Telegram, download Telegram if you've never been on Telegram, and check out the content on a platform that is called Health and Wellness Sport. That is my platform, the only platform. So I have two. I have the channel and I have the group. So in the group, you can actually share your views, but in the channel, I'm the only one who is allowed to post there. But the two are linked together. So join in. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Let's keep moving. So now, food is going into the small intestine. I've told you, in the small intestine, the pH changes from the acidic pH in the stomach, and as the food gets into the small intestine, remember it is still acidic, so it still has the acid nature. So it has to be neutralized. That's why the pancreas produces bicarbonates to start neutralization process. Now, one of the ways that we overwork the pancreas is eating every time. Every after 2 hours you're eating. Imagine you eat at 8 in the morning, your morning breakfast. Very useless breakfast. Tea that has milk, plus sugar, plus bread and sausages. And then you head to work. At around 9, you're already yawning like a crazy person. You're yawning. And now you take tea again that has sugar plus some mandazis, wheat products. Problems. So now, digestion has to take about 5 to 8 hours thereabout. So for you to digest, to absorb, to store the energy, and then the gut cleans up and rests, you need about 6 to 8 hours. So digestion takes 3 hours of this or 4. So imagine you ate at 8 and at 10 you're eating again. Those are 2 hours. You did not even digest the food completely. The only thing that you're doing to yourself is you're actually pushing this stomach content into the small intestines. And as you're pushing this stomach content into the small intestines, you're actually pushing a lot of acids in the small intestines. Therefore, the pancreas has to overwork to produce bicarbonates to actually neutralize this stomach acid. Once that is happening, you're actually encouraging the wear and tear of the pancreas. Remember, it's carrying out digestion of every single thing. The pancreas produces lipases. These are enzymes that break down fat. The pancreas produces proteases that actually chop down the polypeptides to give you amino acids for you to absorb. The pancreas produces amylases that break down the carbohydrates that you did not digest adequately in your mouth because you are rushing to just swallow food. So it has to digest that for you to absorb it. So it's playing a very important role, and it's the only organ that can actually carry out digestion on its own. Now it's releasing all these enzymes, and again, remember the pancreas joins, the pancreatic duct joins the bile duct, so that now the bile that is coming from the liver is going to join the pancreatic juices and is released into the small intestines through a sphincter here. There's a hole here in the duodenum that is called the sphincter of OD. So now we release this content into the small intestines for digestion purposes. Remember, bile is coming in from the liver, and the role of bile is to actually emulsify fats, to help the fats to become soluble, and then to take the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, dissolve them in these small globules of fat so that you can actually absorb all of them into the lymphatic system. On that note, fats are not absorbed into the bloodstream, so therefore there is no way if you eat saturated fats, the tallow, the ghee, the coconut oil, there's no way they will end up clogging your blood vessels or your arteries. They are not absorbed in the bloodstream. They are absorbed in the lymphatic system, the luteal vessels. So tell your doctor, please, Daktari, don't tell me that. You're lying to me. And again, fats are not absorbed as fat. The same way they are on a plate, then it doesn't mean they are absorbed that way. When they are being absorbed, they've already been acted upon by bile, and now they're being absorbed as smaller components that will go into the lymphatic system and head straight to the fat cells. Until the body is starving, that's when it turns to these fat cells to burn the fat to give you super energy that are called the ketone bodies. So therefore we need the fat for us to absorb the fat soluble vitamins and for us to actually carry or ferry to actually absorb the fat soluble vitamins so that we don't go into vitamin deficiencies. And most of you are actually deficient in fat soluble vitamins. That's why you're taking vitamin D supplements. That's why you have problems with blood clotting, because vitamin K is compromised. That's why your system is always inflamed, because you have low vitamin E. And vitamin E is what the liver uses to detoxify the system and as an antioxidant to the system, in conjunction with vitamin C. Now you're suffering because of the skin problems, you're suffering of vision problems because you don't have enough vitamin A, because you don't eat enough fat to help you absorb the vitamins. Yes, you're eating vegetables and all those carrots, but you're not eating them appropriately. Just eating them for the sake of filling up the stomach, but the nutritional value from that food is zero because you do not consume them with fat. So if you're making a vegetable salad, either top dress it with coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil so that you can actually get the vitamins from it. So those of you who make a salad and you're using salads to lose weight, you're actually going to go into vitamin deficiencies, because if you're not top dressing that salad with extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil, zero work. You're just getting the fiber from the vegetable. So actually you're losing weight because you're starving, not because you're getting to lose weight in appropriate ways or proper ways. Understood? So now, before I even go further in the digestion process, allow me to talk about this stomach where we have problems with typhoid and brucellosis. I've already told you that gastritis is actually you trying to thin down the gut wall. When you thin down the gut wall, you expose it to the acid. Now there is corrosion. There's that inflammation of the gut wall. That is gastritis. That can actually, prolonged gastritis can cause you the ulcers. The weird part is you have chronic gastritis and then you go to the hospital and you take the PPIs or the antacids. You're constantly trying to neutralize the stomach acid, but you're not fixing the gut wall. You're constantly fixing the symptom. You're just fixing the acid. Why are you fixing the acid? Yet it's supposed to be there. Why are you neutralizing the acid instead of concentrating on things that will thicken the wall and restore the integrity of the wall so that the acid does not target the wall? Do you see that? So now, when you're constantly consuming foods that actually mess up the gut wall, that actually expose the gut wall to the acid, and now you have gastritis, the next thing that follows is you start perforating the gut. You start popping these pores into the gut wall. And remember, your gut is linked to the immune system. Your gut is also linked to blood vessels, so that anything that you absorb here goes direct into the blood system and is carried to the liver. And some of the things that you're absorbed here get into the lymphatic system, where the immune system is. Look at it this way now. Because if the gut wall is totally fixed and is thick, there will be no gastritis. There will be no exposure of the acid to the wall to destroy it. Number two, if you don't have these pores, this leaky gut, we call it a leaky gut, you will not expose stomach content or the gut content to the immune system. When you expose the gut content to the immune system because you've perforated the gut, this is where the allergies come from. This is where you start having the autoimmune conditions. This is where you have the overreacting immune system, because you're triggering the immune system to overreact. Remember, the immune system does not recognize your stomach content. That's why we have a closed gut. But when you open up the gut, you expose the content of the gut to the immune system, and now the immune system ends up overreacting. As the immune system is overreacting, that's how you'll end up seeing those eruptions on your skin. You call them eczema. You call them, oh, eggs give me allergies. Eggs don't give you allergies. The egg yolk does not even give you the allergies. The egg white is the one that actually is responsible for causing those skin eruptions. But you are set up earlier because when you're a child, you're given vaccines that don't even make sense. Most vaccines don't make sense. You're given a lot of vaccines for everything. There's a vaccine for even now a divorce. On a lighter note though. So there's a vaccine for everything nowadays. And you've seen, I just put out a video now, that our president is calling the public stupid just because they're asking, why are we giving our livestock the vaccine? So instead of him just explaining, this vaccine is going to help this way and this way, and this is a type of vaccine that is supposed to do this and this, he's becoming emotional. He's now abusing everybody. Nyinyi ni wajinga. You are stupid because you just asked me a question. I mean, how did leadership become emotional? When did this leadership of ours become so emotional? So when you see that, you start to realize that you are alone. Number two, I just saw an image and I saw a post that was saying that our very own KEBS has now identified that rice that came into the country as an import from September and October and is in circulation has aflatoxin. So our very own regulatory body that we trust, that it has to actually make sure that anything that is coming into the country has to be checked. They are everywhere. They are in the ports, they are in the airports, they are on the borders. They need to check this rice. They see the quality before they release it into the country for it to be released into the markets. Now they are coming in telling us now, this is December, they are telling us now that the rice that came in as an import in September and in October and is in circulation, they're not even shy to say that is in circulation, has aflatoxin and is not fit for consumption. But where is that rice already? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, where is the rice? And when I tell you rice has no nutritional benefit, it's going to inflame your gut, you're like, daktari, me I like rice. I cannot do without biryani. People from the coast. And that's why you're weak. So biryani, brown rice, white rice, pilau, all of them are just types of rice. They're coming from the same thing. As you eat this, you're thinking these are 4 different types of food. And you're thinking, oh, you know what, I have varieties. Me najua sana. You just ate the same thing. Have you not eaten the same thing? So rice is highly inflammatory to the gut. Is one of the reasons why you have this perforation here. And remember, this perforation takes a lot of time. So from a child having these vaccines that actually mess up the gut wall, from a child consuming milk formulas, from a child being born via CAs where they don't even have a healthy gut because they lack the healthy bacteria, from a child being fed on wheat, being fed on pasteurized milk, being fed on all these things, medicines that have alcohol in them, medicines that have sugar. So we are messing up the guts of the children without even knowing. Then we are wondering, why is it that? And nowadays we even have PPIs. There's pantoprazole for children. There's a medicine called pantoprazole, a dispersible tablet for children. Aye. Now we have 9-year-olds and below taking omeprazole. Where did they get this gastritis from? Nyinyi mko na jokes. But anyway, so we are messing up the stomach wall, the integrity, and now we're exposing ourselves to autoimmune conditions, we're exposing ourselves to allergies, and then we start blaming the pollen. We are blaming the pollen, we're blaming the dust, we're blaming perfumes, we're blaming new clothes. We are constantly blaming things that are outside of us, yet the real problem is inside us. We are what we eat. So now, you weaken the stomach acid from the time you're a child. Now you start eating wheat. You're causing a perforated gut. You're weakening the stomach acid. You're taking alcohol. You're taking cigarettes. You're smoking cigarettes. Shisha. You're smoking shisha until moshi inatokea kwa masikio, and you're thinking that's a good life. And you're posting it for us to see. We will celebrate you now, but we will sit here and wait for you. Our paths shall cross definitely. So you're using seed oils. You're taking pasteurized milk. The most useless type of milk is pasteurized milk. Anytime you heat milk, you destroy the protein in the milk. You destroy the fat structure. You kill the microorganisms. Do you know why a calf does not boil the milk? Do you know why your mother did not boil your breast milk? So you want to tell me, oh, you know what, that's a mother. You know what, that's a calf. That's a calf. The stomach are different. Yes, they are different, but the content of the milk is the same. So milk is supposed to have antibodies, it's supposed to have protein, it's supposed to have carbs, it's supposed to have, and carbs is lactose, it's supposed to have fats, it's supposed to have immune cells, it's supposed to have all this. So milk is a superfood for the calf and for the baby. So human beings are just crazy because human beings are the only species that actually stops suckling their mothers and they head to suckle a cow. But the same human beings cannot suckle a donkey. They can't take milk from a donkey, yet the donkey eats the same food to a cow. So why are you so selective? So milk should just be left for babies and calves. A whole adult suckling a cow doesn't even make sense. Then you're saying, oh, you'll be rich in calcium, I'm going to boost my bones. You're not going to boost your bones. Calcium is in green leafy vegetables. Calcium is in bone broth. Why don't you use that? Why would you go for the milk and then pasteurized milk for that matter? Do you know what pasteurization is? They heat that milk at 68 degrees for about 3 minutes or at 128 degrees for a second. They have destroyed the protein structure, destabilized it totally. They have destroyed the microorganisms. The reason why we pasteurize milk is because we want it to stay on the shelf for longer. Fresh milk will go bad in about 24 hours. Pasteurized milk will sit on the shelves for 3 months plus. So they are targeting you because they are marketing it for you because you are the product. So all these things destroy the stomach wall. The rice, the ugalis that we eat, the zero nutritional value, the chapati, the mandazi, the spaghetti, the breakfast cereals, the pasteurized milk, the alcohol, the cigarette smoking, the seed oils. They destroy the stomach acid. Once they do that, and now you have a neutralized stomach acid, what do you expect? A message or a signal is going to be sent. You know what? There is a neutralization process here. So what does the brain tell the sphincter? Please open up. There's no harm. There's no harm. So if you open up, nothing is going to hurt your esophagus. So this sphincter opens up, and of course those stomach content come back, and that's how they start irritating you. And guess what you do? You as a weak individual who has no information or who relies on what people say, you don't read, you don't research, you don't ask questions. You're there taking another glass of milk, thinking that you need to neutralize the acid. The acid is already being neutralized. So if you want to recover from that gastritis or that reflux, what you need is to concentrate stomach acid. Milk is going to actually mess it up. And remember, milk has some protein because it's destabilized, but it's still there. So anytime you take a protein diet, you produce more of the acid so that you can actually digest the protein. So are you really helping? If you have ulcers and you're taking milk, are you really helping? Yeah? So the first remedy for somebody who has ulcers or gastritis is to find means to thicken the stomach wall. Number one is rehydration with salt and water. Salt is coming in with chloride. Chloride is going to concentrate stomach acid. And then salt is going to help you absorb more of the water. And that wall, remember, it has mucus. Mucus is 95% water. So rehydration with salt and water is number one remedy for people who have ulcers. Hello? Hello, doctor. Would you please mention what you should eat? I am not here to mention what you should eat. You are supposed to look at it in terms of what should I not eat, because that's what I do. I tell you what not to eat. Whatever I've not told you not to eat, you eat it. I cannot dictate what you should eat. No, I can't do that. I can actually tell you what you should not eat and why. But me telling you what you should eat, that one is a meh. I'm not able to do that. Because you are basically asking me for a diet plan. I cannot give you my diet plan. I eat what I have to eat. I don't eat what is not supposed to be eaten, and for a reason. So I tell you what not to eat for a reason. Good. So thicken the stomach wall by rehydrating with salt and water, and then drop the inflammatory foods, the wheat, the seed oils, the pasteurized milk. Stop eating all the time. You're not designed to eat every after 2 hours. Cows are the ones that can eat for 24 hours. So why do you want to be a cow? Why? Should we give you the vaccine for the livestock now? So all the same. So now, remember, outside us, we have a lot of microorganisms. Salmonella typhi is part of it. Protozoa are part of it. Viruses are part of it. Fungi are part of it. Bacteria are all the bacteria, including Brucella. They are part of it. Therefore, you cannot kill microorganisms. So you trying to fix microorganisms is a waste of your space. You cannot kill microorganisms. Oh, you will waste a lot of time and money. Your antibiotics will go, they will be resistant. You will die. Microorganisms will still be there. Okay, so I want you to know you cannot destroy microorganisms. So you trying to take antibiotics to actually fix the problems that you've caused yourself is a waste of your precious time. So typhoid comes in through food, through water. Same to cholera, same to brucellosis. They come in through what you're eating. They are oral. They come through the orophycal route. So when they come in, the first thing they encounter, apart from saliva, is this acid in the stomach. Guess what? If you have a weak stomach acid, what do you expect? It's a question for you people. If you have a weak stomach acid and then you eat contaminated food, what do you expect? Yeah? So you want to eat contaminated food and then go to the pharmacy and take levofloxacin or Cipro. And then you want to label this, oh, food poisoning. This is food poisoning. You want to label that nature of your weakness as food poisoning so that you actually shift the blame from you having a very weak acid to the bacteria being very bad that now they attack you and they cause problems. Remember this bacteria coming in, finding your first layer of immunity being the acid. Some of them will be so destroyed instantly without even thinking twice. The acid will destroy them so fast. And that's how you ended up eating that mutura and you didn't get a problem. Right? That's how you ended up eating a place where there's no hygiene in that kibanda and you never diarrheaed. Because again, you ate 1 meal a day. Your stomach acid was so concentrated because when you eat 1 meal a day, you're concentrating the stomach acid. The lesser you eat, the more concentrated the acid, the safer you are. The more salt you take and rehydration, the better. Then somebody will come and tell you, you know what? If you take water, if you drink water, you will dilute the acid in the stomach. It will be unable to actually digest food. That is a very ignorant statement. How much water do you need to drink to actually neutralize HCl in the stomach? Please tell those people who are telling you this nonsense. Because look at it this way. The body is always struggling to find a balance. So let's say water can actually neutralize the stomach acid. But anytime you neutralize that stomach acid, the body produces more. The body produces more to make sure that you have this balance. So if somebody is telling you, oh, you know what, if you drink water before a meal, you will end up neutralizing the stomach acid, therefore you'll have problems with digestion. Tell them, what is homeostasis? What is homeostasis, gentleman or lady? What is homeostasis? All the same. So constant exposure to these inflammatory foods and foods that actually mess up our gut pH, they neutralize the stomach acid. We are going to expose ourselves to more problems of the gut, including typhoid and brucellosis. So if you're having constant brucellosis and you're going to hospital and you're getting injections all the time, you're getting those medication for 21 days, the problem is not the brucellosis, the problem is you. You are the problem. The problem is not even the food you're eating. The problem is just you. You are so weak because you've actually allowed the stomach environment to be so messed up. You've neutralized that stomach pH and the acid is so weak to actually destroy the microorganisms that are coming in with food. So it's time for us to take responsibility rather than shifting the blame to microorganisms. They are there. They will always be there. You're the one who will die. How is it possible that you're the only one who is having this brucellosis and people around you are not having it? How is it possible that you're the only one who is suffering from this food poisoning? Do you realize even the pharmacy that you're going to, somebody else is just surviving and they ate even worse food than you did? So when you strengthen that stomach acid, no condition is coming for you. Now look at it this way. We take antibiotics that come with side effects instead of just fasting to concentrate the stomach acid and we survive. When you have it already, you can take antibiotics to actually heal from it. But after that, what do? Take the fermented cabbages to fix the gut again, to bring back the microorganisms, and then start a healthy lifestyle. There are people who have never taken medication, and I'm one of them. The last time I took medication was about 2020 when I was taking drugs for TB. The first time I changed the environment, I got TB, and I started asking questions. How is it possible that I had the TB vaccine and now I have TB? Some of these vaccines though. So anyway, you've heard my message. Fix that gut. The gut will fix your problems. You don't need streptomycin injection for 21 days. You don't need gentamicin. I told you gentamicin is a very bad one to the ear. It destroys the ear. The nerves that supply the ear is destroyed by gentamicin. Gentamicin is a very toxic drug to the kidneys. But you people are always telling the doctor, niandikie 21 injections. Streptomycin is part of the antibiotics that destroy the kidneys, but you're taking it 21 days clean, and then you continue with, I think, 6 weeks of doxycycline and 6 weeks of ciprofloxacin. And your pharmacist is be there telling you, don't take milk. These ones are not supposed to be taken with milk because he knows you consume milk. You always consume milk. Do not take this with milk because they will form chelates, and those chelates are non-absorbable, so this drug will not function. But the real case is not the drug, it's not the bacteria, it's you. Your pH in the stomach is the one that is a mess. And now let me take you to an exposure. The first time you get an exposure to typhoid, anytime, not even typhoid alone, any bacterial infection that you get an exposure to, what happens is your body produces immune cells against it. It produces antibodies against the bacteria. We call the bacteria the antigen, or the invading parasite is called the antigen. So now the body produces antibodies to fight it. Antibodies are your immune system, so that you can actually fight these invading parasites. Now, this microorganism can end up overwhelming the immune system. They overwhelm the immune system because it's the first exposure, right? So we might end up, the body will not fight it that much. So you'll end up getting overwhelmed, and now you'll need an antibiotic. So, okay, the first exposure, take levofloxacin or ciprofloxacin or cefuroxime, whichever antibiotic you want to take, or the augmentin, so that you get better. But your immune system is very clever. It keeps a memory of that microorganism. Those antibodies have a memory for this microorganism, so that the next time you get an exposure to typhoid or to brucellosis, your immune system destroys them. That tells you, once you get one exposure to a microorganism, your immune system already has a memory and it has the ability to fight it. And also remember that the role of antibiotics is not to cure the bacteria or to destroy them. The role of the antibiotics is supposed to lower the bacterial load to a certain level that your immune system can actually take over. Underline, the immune system takes over. So most of you are always relying on antibiotics to do everything. That's how you end up having a very weak immune system. Because antibiotics are supposed to just help the immune system, just lower a little bit, and then the immune system takes over. Are we getting that? So concentrate on strengthening your immune system. So once it keeps the memory, it means in your system there will always be antibodies against typhoid, antibodies against brucellosis. They are circulating. Now, if you ever go to a hospital to do a typhoid test, and the test that is done is a Wiedel test, please ask the lab technician, what is the principle behind a Wiedel test? Some of these tests were actually taken out because of the uselessness in them. If you want to do a typhoid test, please do a typhoid antigen test, the stool test. You'll get your result because it goes for the antigen of typhoid. But imagine taking a test like Wiedel that actually detects the antibodies against typhoid in your blood. So you take a blood sample, and whatever you're doing is you're introducing this blood sample on a slide and then introducing the typhoid antigen to the antibody, so that if you see the agglutination, the clotting, you realize this guy is suffering from typhoid, or this blood is contaminated with typhoid. But that test is not testing the antigen. That test is testing the antibodies. And I've already told you that immediately you get first exposure to typhoid, you will retain antibodies, so that it keeps the memory that that bacteria, I know it, I will destroy it next time it comes here. So in your sane mind, in your common sense, tell me, how are Wiedel tests going to change people's life? How are they going to be used to detect typhoid? Yet all of us, at some point, we had an exposure to typhoid. So in our system, we have antibodies against typhoid, naturally. So can we save money on that one? Hello? Can we save money? Let's do the antigen test instead of the Wiedel test. It's an antibody test. We all have antibodies in our system, because if we had an exposure to typhoid or brucellosis, we already have the antibodies. Scam number one. And you are scammed because you don't read. Same to salmonella antibody tests. We've had exposure to salmonella, not salmonella, the Brucella antibody test. We've had exposure to brucellosis. We've kept the memory. We've produced antibodies against brucellosis, so they are there in our system already. They are just waiting for Brucella to come in. They target it. And now you go to hospital, you have a diarrhea, or you have these weak bones and weak joints and all that, and malaise and fever. and somebody is taking your blood to take a Brucella antibody test, yet you have the antibodies. What do you expect? Hello? What are we expecting in that test? Is it going to turn negative or positive? Yeah? If you're taking an antibody test and yet you have antibodies in your system already, what is that test going to turn? Positive or negative? Wacha tuone wasomi. Wacha tuone malab technicians hapa. Malab technicians wako kwa mitandao wana react to rice water, wanatumia rice water to lose weight, but our focus to educate the public about these tests. They are there making noise. Oh, you know what? I went to school. I'm just trying this rice water test. Oh, you know what? They are fighting. You say fruits have sugar. They say, oh no, fruits and fish. They are comparing fruits, the sugar in fruits and the mercury in fish. Instead of them sitting down to educate people about these tests. What are we doing? You went to school to just come out just an empty person. The test will turn positive because the antibodies are already in your system. So therefore, Wiedel test and Brucella antibody test are going to turn positive. Definitely. If you have had an exposure to typhoid. What does that tell you? That if you're paying money for Wiedel test, you're paying money for Brucella antibody test. Zimeenda happy? Your pesa imeenda happy? Najua leo kuna mtu amefanya Wiedel test. I know there's somebody who has done a Wiedel test. There's somebody who did a Brucella antibody test and they already put on 21 injections of gentamicin or streptomycin for Brucella. Unajua hii Brucella yangu inanimalizanga magoti. Hii Brucella yangu inafanya niko na back pains. Hii Brucella yangu, you're looking at somebody who is saying my Brucella is even owning the disease and is obese as crazy. So now they are blaming Brucella bacteria for their back pains, when the real deal is back pain is coming as a result of you putting up so much weight. It's time for us to take responsibility, buana. Responsibility. We can't keep on blaming things around us, yet the real case or the real deal is us. We are the problems. We destroy our environments, and then we destroy the stomach acid through eating products from the industries. And now we blame the bacteria because the pharmaceutical companies have come in to convince you that there's a pill for every ill. That anytime you have a diarrhea, anytime you're vomiting, anytime you have joint weaknesses, there's an anti-malarial drug. Anytime you have these weaknesses, there's a test for what you already have. So you spend more money just taking a test for what you already have. So there's a test for that. And then of course, we'll give you medication for that. And don't take anything, take the originals. How many of you have taken original medications for typhoid? Recurrent typhoid, for brucellosis, but it's still coming back. How many of you have taken 21 injections every time, but it's still coming back? Because you need to concentrate on fixing what you need to fix. The stomach acid that is going to destroy these microorganisms. Of course, some of them will resist the acid, but the immune system will actually destroy them. It will destroy them. They are so minimal to actually overwhelm your immune system. Tunaelewana vizuri. Another test. This microorganism called H. pylori. How many of you have taken kits? You've gone for a test for H. pylori, very expensive, gotten a kit, very expensive kit, taken it for 2 weeks, very expensive and very many side effects. You struggle to finish the kits. You've taken omeprazole for another 1 month to just clear everything. You've gone back after a month, you still test positive for H. pylori. How many of you? You even take a year or so, you've gotten better, and then after a year again, you're texting and you're telling, you know what, you have H. pylori. It is positive again. How many of you? Yeah? And you still do the same things. You still do the same things. So you still again take another kit, just now a different kit from a different company, a change of name, but the same kits. Some of the doctors are even sharp. They will now combine amoxil, the one that you take on the count on the shelves, amoxil plus flagyl plus clarithromycin plus omeprazole differently. So now you have 6 drugs on your table to take them because they're trying to make a kit, a cheaper kit for you. It's a good idea. But are we fixing the cause? H. pylori cannot even survive in a highly acidic environment. He appreciates a basic environment. So the more you neutralize the stomach acid by using those antacids, the more you help H. pylori to survive. The more you take omeprazole, the more you reduce the amount of acid in the stomach, the more H. pylori affects you. And now remember, as you're aiding H. pylori to survive, he becomes mutated. He mutates so that the next time the acid is coming in, he's safe. He will destroy you all through over and over and over and over. You never learn, do you? And then when I tell you to drop wheat, you're busy telling me, oh, daktari, sasa mimi niache chapati. Mbinguni tutapewa mwili mpya. And then you come in my inbox and ask me, daktari, what is the best remedy for gastritis? I have had this burping all the time. I produce very bad gas from my mouth. I'm suspecting is H. pylori. But you're not... It is just the same concept on Identity Fridays, where people keep on saying, you know me, I'm a drug addict. You know me, I'm a porn addict. But nobody will tell you I am an evil person, because porn addiction, drug addiction are just the nature of evil. So nobody says, you know, I'm an evil person. They don't want to admit that. They admit that they have a weakness in form of addiction, but they don't want to say I'm evil, because once you say I'm evil, it's easy for you to overcome the nature of evil inside you. But the more you're saying, oh, you know, I have an addiction, it means you're just protecting the nature of evil inside you. So how will you recover from it? So these people are actually constantly blaming microorganisms. Yet the problem is them. Whatever they're eating is actually messing up their gut environment. So they will never admit they're eating the crappy foods, because they're addicted to chapati, they're addicted to seed oils, they're addicted to 𝗕𝗥𝗙𝗘𝗖𝗓𝗓𝗑𝗦, foods that don't have any nutritional benefit. So therefore, how do we solve this problem? And did you see, by the way, in the northern region, I don't know if this happened all over the country, but I was lucky to be in the northern region, where the government was issuing cholera vaccines. My friend, cholera cannot survive in your stomach if you have a strong acid. Know that for free. But we allow you to continue eating bad foods, no problem, because we are the ones who are supplying it. So we've brought you rice that is actually having aflatoxin, right? See, we have allowed it. Sisi kama KEBS tumekubali mkule mchele yenye iko na shida, but because our deal has gone wrong, because somebody did not pay us, there's a problem now. We have to expose them so that they come back and tell us, you know what, basha ndo hii chini ya maji. Is it not the same thing that happened to that seed oil that was called Ola? It was brought in. It had a lot of problems. 2 days down the line, it's been approved. The same regulatory body that told us this is a toxic product approve the same product 2 days later. Ai? Mimi nakwanga wazimu ama? Yeah? We not even settled that this was it is all in the newspapers, in the news. That's why I tell you, just stay away from the media. It is all there. They're saying it's a very bad one, and we are like, yeah. Videos are all over, people trying to pour this oil out, and you're like, kai, tumekula mafuta mbaya, gavana nzuri imetuambia, it has exposed us. KEBS is a very good organization. It's actually told us that this was a bad oil, but you've used it already. Where were they? Oh, they didn't see, they didn't know. Amazing, right? And then they come 2 days later and tell you, oh, you know what? We made a mistake. That cooking oil, perfect. It's good for, welcome stamp. Put a stamp, let it pass. Wacha iende. This is a good one for consumption. Are they not the same people who said sugar had mercury, but still release the sugar in the markets? Are they not the same people who sit in airports making sure that every citizen who is flying outside the country or inside the country is actually frisked all through? Ameangaliwa kila mahali, ameangaliwa mpaka ndani ya mdomo, ameko. Yeah, they can even press your stomach so that you can actually poop if there's something you've eaten and you want to carry it outside the country, to go and poop outside the country. Wanataka hiyo fertilizer hapa, mbolea hiyo hapa, wacha hapa before uende. But they have a special place where these politicians will just pass without having to go through a checkup. Hello? They have a special place where no politician is frisked. Oh, when our small god here in form of politics, our small god, just pass and forward. The politicians are just passing through the airport with all they have, and then they bring it in. They're the same people who are selling you this bad rice, because they strike one deal and they're good to go. They're billionaires already. Now, rice came in September and in October. This is December. The whole country has consumed that rice. Is when you're telling us that rice has aflatoxin. Where did you get the samples to test that? How did it come into the country? You're even telling us it's an import. Import? Who imported this rice? We mnakaa hapo kazini ni kuweka tu mihuri kwa kila kitu. Mkisikia mtu ameunda kitu mnataka kukimbia hapo kwenda, because you always, your mind is that way. Are you not the same people in those regulation bodies? Are you not the same people who are actually importing the same rice? And then when a deal goes wrong because you're not paid for it, now you want to actually show us you are really working. Where? They create a problem, and then through the Ministry of Health, they create a solution. They're the same people. Evil people. So they'll create the problem, bring you bad rice, get aflatoxin that messes up your gut. And this is just a distraction. You're now distracted from the real agenda. Because now we are thinking, rice was bad, rice was bad. There's something else that is coming in. They will see that next year in February. Oh, you know, in December when people were celebrating Christmas, there was a problem. You're telling us in February. Tawe. So these guys, when the deal goes wrong, that's when they want to show you. They want actually you to actually show. They want to show the nation that huyu atumike kama, ili awe funzo kwa wengine wenye hulka kama zake. You've seen how our regulatory body that for drugs, the poisons one. Have you seen how they actually crack down on the small pharmacies? They are cracking down. They are putting on these badges, and you think, hey, these guys are serious working. They crack down a whole week on these small chemists, but the bigger chemists are not ever touched. And they catch one guy who is selling amoxicillin in Kakamega town, selling amoxicillin like groundnuts, and they want to show the nation. They take pictures and they post everywhere. You know what? This is so bad. This is so evil. Imagine somebody in Kakamega just selling amoxicillin in the market like it's ndengus. And you're like, yeah. Emotions are all over. Watu wa Kakamega wamekula amoxicillin. Watu wa Kakamega, guy. My daughter is in Masinde Muliro University. Amekula amoxicillin. Mi sina lawyer. Sina lawyer. I need advice. We tawe. We are so emotional because of TV. Watu wamekula sijui nini. Imagine watu Naivasha wamekula punda. Punda. Mi siwezi kula punda. Hiyo punda umesha kula. Ulikula. The only thing that saved you is at least you fasted. You can clear everything. So if you have a strong stomach acid, you don't rely on regulatory bodies to come and change your life. Aflatoxin cannot survive in a strong acid environment. If any case, why are you eating rice? We already said there is no rice here. We said that. We said no rice, no wheat, no ugali. So when they are complaining about rice being bad, we are there saying, iko mbaya. How would we know? How would we know? There's no sweet potato with aflatoxin. There's no pumpkin with aflatoxin. I mean, sisi tuko pumpkin. Sasa how is that our problem? And again, here we say, whatever is happening outside does is none of our business, right? We are feeding ourselves with good things. We are feeding ourselves with information, feeding ourselves with good diets, and then fasting to clear up the system and reconnect with our own roots and our own nature. So then how will we be worried about rice that has aflatoxin? How will we be worried about people telling us about that bad food? How will we be worried about this guy who walks at night saying, you know what, they are pouring foods all over? That's not our problem. You're pouring these foods all over. By the way, have you seen most of our celebrities who are running charity organizations? They go into the ghettos. These children have no problem in terms of diets and diseases. They've been eating all these bad foods and they're just surviving. That's why masks did not sell so much in the ghettos. They were forced to actually buy masks in the ghettos during COVID. So these guys have very strong immunity because they are exposed to different microorganisms. But these celebrities of ours who are always posting pictures of them eating in restaurants, high-end restaurants, after extracting money from charity to go and now show you that they are doing well. The same guys go there and they make these bad foods for these guys. They make a lot of rice because that's what they can actually save more money. So they make rice, and then they make beans, and then they make some future parties. And then guess what? Charities for the camera. I mean, I have celebrated my birthday in an orphanage. I've made them chapatis. Guys, do you see the sufferers? Do you see? Look at these sufferers here. I've brought them chapati. I am the best celebrity in the country. I have brought them seed oils. Okay? And then the same celebrities are here asking me, Doc, what is the best cooking oil? I tell them ghee. They are buying ghee. And then they post again to their platforms. Oh, ghee. I'm like, charity for the camera. A lot of money you're getting from that charity, you're using it for your own benefits. You're lying to those children in the ghettos that you're doing well. Another one is lying to men that is actually coming in with a program that's actually going to help men. No way. You're there for the money, bro. So we are so evil, we don't even realize. We are so buried in the rectum of evil, and we think other people are so evil. Yet, so you see, like a mad person thinks all of you are mad. He's the only one who is sane. So maybe you're a mad person, you just didn't know. When you start thinking all other people are insane and you're the only one who is sane, you are mad. That's their thinking. Just like a blind person, all he sees is darkness. He sees, but what he sees is darkness. Anyway, we move swiftly. So these conditions, so I was telling you about the cholera vaccine. So in the northern region, their politicians have so much brainwashed these guys, hey, that education does not make sense at all. That's why they never ask anything. So their politicians will be busy shouting and investing in Nairobi, and when they come to the ground, they are busy supplying them with war equipment to fight each other. They are selling them tribal things. Have you seen any politician who represents the nomadic people? Have you seen any of them coming out to actually talk against these vaccines? Have you? Mention one politician you've heard from the nomadic region that has actually come in to actually question these vaccines for the livestock. Have you? Now I witnessed them coming in saying that, you know what, we have a vaccine. They are marketing it all over, the chiefs and all that. They are marketing the vaccines for cholera. And nobody is actually marketing hygiene. Ala, cholera inatokanga wapi? So don't worry. Eat what you have to eat. Don't even practice hygiene. Go poop in the kichaka. That water will come, be swept by the rains. You will drink it here with the camels. You will drink the milk. You'll get the problem with the cholera. Immediately, you start diarrheaing. We have drugs for you. Don't worry. We will organize a charity that will bring doxycycline to you. No, don't worry about those trenches. Don't worry about fixing the trenches. Don't even ask your MCA to do anything about this drainage. No, don't. The MCA will organize doxycycline. About 5 packets. He will come and drop them there and tell you, you have to take 2 tabs of doxycycline to prevent yourself from getting cholera. And then he's there with a banner of a pharmaceutical company that makes doxycycline because it's sponsored by, courtesy of the big pharma. So they are so brainwashed, they don't even think outside. They are so emotional. They are so emotional. So when you tell them the truth, they become so angry. And then they hide in this thing called religion. They hide in that. That's the truth. So what they do is, their politicians have brainwashed them. They will never open up their heads to information unless the information is coming from their politician. And their politicians are actually using that to manipulate them. So they don't fix any drainage. They don't even do the dams and the wells. They don't do that. And they don't build schools so that these people become so crazy that we can actually control them, because somebody who is zero in the kyongs is easily to manipulate. It's very easy to manipulate because he's just emotional. So they brainwash them so badly. Now they bring them the cholera vaccines. Imagine somebody does not fix your drainage, does not educate you about health, does not educate you about hygiene, but he brings you cholera vaccine and tells you, keep doing what you're doing. I have a vaccine for you. Oh, those guys rush to take that vaccine like crazy. Everybody's like, nipe yangu, nipe yangu. I'm like, where? Hey. And somebody's busy balancing books for the NGOs to get a paycheck. You didn't see that, did you? Cholera vaccine. Cholera vaccine. You have now a typhoid vaccine, don't you? Some of you have taken it, right? You have a cholera vaccine now. You have a COVID vaccine. You have anthrax vaccine. What other vaccine do you have? Ni gani ingine uko nayo? Wewe yako ni certificates tu za vaccines. Certificates after certificates of vaccines. Which other one do you have? Hello? I think it's time for me to rest my case. Unless there's a question here. Which other vaccine are you on? Fix the gut. When you fix the gut, microorganisms have nothing on you. They are there to survive. They'll come and go. You stand the storm. But if you weaken up the stomach acid by the foods that you're eating, and then you're wondering, what do we do next? And then you're wondering, why are there no ciprofloxacins and levofloxacins in your hospital? Pharmacies will continuously make money. They will. Because this information can only get to 1 million people. How about the 54 million who are still taking the vaccines? Yeah, I'm not saying anything against vaccines. I'm just telling you, cholera vaccines are just a waste of time. That's a reality. Which foods to avoid? Seed oils, wheat products, sugar in all forms, including fruits and honey, milk, pasteurized milk. What of deworming? Deworming, bro, if you, hey, Achieng, dewormers. You will move from one original brand to another. You will move from one drug to another. Where are worms coming from? Where are they coming from? Just look at it that way. When you see that direction, you will know what I'm talking about. Just look at it that way. If you want to understand my language, just look at where diseases or where conditions are coming from. You cannot avoid eating meat, and meat has worms, but the acid does the rest. You cannot avoid eating vegetables. Vegetables have worms, but the acid has it. You see that? So look at where the disease is coming from. Look at where these microorganisms are coming from. Once you see that, it's easy for you to do it. It's easy for you to work around that. Yes, pneumonia vaccine. Oh, it's pneumonia vaccine. And some of you even just feel chest pains. Oh, hii pneumonia yangu. Pneumonia yangu ni baridi. Pneumonia yangu. Hey. Mimi siwezi tembea kwa mvua, nitapata pneumonia. Who told you maji ya mvua iko na pneumonia? I can't do a cold shower. Pneumonia. Now you have a pneumonia vaccine so that you continue taking a hot shower. Says, yeah? You continue taking a hot shower because if you don't even think that these guys are playing us, because they'll tell you to take the vaccine and they still tell you to practice hygiene. I thought if I take a vaccine, I'm safe. I can eat whatever I want to eat. Why is it that you take a vaccine and I still practice healthy living? Why is it that I have a vaccine, then I still have to wear a mask to protect myself from getting TB? Conversation that you will not get anywhere else apart from here on the Health and Wellness Pod. Dr. Lewis is my name. Go on my YouTube channel and subscribe. How many are we? Let me just see. And I would like these 228 people on TikTok to just flock on my YouTube and just subscribe on that channel. Please do that for us. You're going to build us, and through that we are going to build you. This conversation, we roll them here every Monday, Tuesday. No, Tuesday is a testimonial Tuesday. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays is an Identity Friday. So you cannot miss out on Identity Fridays this coming Friday. The home of fixing anger, fixing emotions, fixing all these problems that are coming in with identities. So you cannot miss out on Identity Fridays. You can't miss out on that one. Please join in on Friday at 8:30 p.m. until late night. Bring your conversation. We want to help you ease up on depression, ease up on anxiety, stress levels. We want to help you know that health does not just come from the physical aspect. We have the spiritual aspect that has to actually win the battle for the physical need to follow. So 34,185 people. If I get these 228, I'll get to 34,000, about 250 people. Why don't you just do that and be honorable people? I'll give you about a minute. Just go on YouTube and subscribe to that channel. Come on. Let's see what is happening here. Thank you already for those of you who are subscribing. I can see that. Amazing stuff here. Asanteni sana. Ile post ya jana doc about men, ni wewe ulikuwa umepost. Yes, only because I posted a post about men with baby carriers and emotions. That post it was actually one of the things that was supposed to trigger the mama's boys totally, so that they bring the conversation. They come with after me, guns blazing. Where? If you've not seen that post, go on Facebook, Lewis Muchile, and just check the post. I think I did it yesterday. That has this guy who is carrying a baby in that baby carrier. I enjoyed the comment. I went into the comment section. I found about 400 and plus comments. I'm like, where? What is happening to men? Like, men, to be honest, if you carry a baby in that baby carrier, you're looking like a pregnant woman. Men are designed to carry babies in a natural way, not in a baby carrier. Emotions after emotions. Watu wamemwaga emotions hivi. Niko like, aya. Just subscribe. Thank you so much, Sami. I appreciate that. I saw one today at the mall, and I just thought about what you say. You see a guy carrying this, my friend, you look like a pregnant woman. And I told you the same men are the same that actually post pictures of their pregnant women naked. They go for photo shoots with these women, they undress them, they take photos, they come back home, they sit with their pregnant women there, choosing the best naked photo for their pregnant women to post for us. Let me tell you, if you didn't know, most men are so attracted to pregnant women because there is no responsibility. They'll manage to ejaculate without any responsibility. They will not pay a single dime to that woman. So they know that this one, zero responsibility. So most men are so attracted to a pregnant woman. So immediately you post your pregnant woman, they are busy trying to look for that image. Where is this one? They are going to your friends to see where she is, and they'll flock her inbox. And imagine you'd use her account to post that image. The only thing that you did not post is you having that episode of what made her pregnant. That's the only thing you've not posted. But now you're showing us her nakedness. Oh, we are looking at your woman. We are zooming that image. We are zooming and we are casting our spells on her. Some of us are masturbating with your pregnant woman on the internet. We are casting spells on that pregnancy. How will it even survive? Do you understand spirituality? And you're there pushing emotions. Oh, you know what, this doctor is saying this. I've been carrying there was a guy who said, I've been carrying my baby for last 6 years. I carried my baby in that thing and there was nothing wrong. I was bonding with my child. I was bonding. I'm like, bonding? Bonding gani? If any case, your woman told you that. So you did it for the woman. You did not do it because you wanted to do it. And if any case, you hate your mother, you need to overcome her because inside you have the spirit of a woman. That's why you're emotional. That's why you even find a reason to respond to a post that you did 6 years ago. You carried the baby 6 years ago, and now 6 years later you are responding to a post to just get validation from women who are actually trying to control you. They might come there and like your post. They make you think that you actually, this post was very attractive. Hey, this guy faced Dr. Lewis he has guts. But the truth is, they don't even appreciate you. They're like, they are going to your profile and looking at you with those fat, that pot belly. They're like, lakini who are you? So we are gonna pot belly na bado anabeba mtoto kwa baby carrier. You're even suffocating that child because your pot belly is pressing the child's stomach. They are having a hard time breathing. Libeba mtoto wangu na baby carrier. Just because you did it does not mean it's the right thing to do. Somebody has to speak it to you. Somebody has to come and tell you, wake up. Wale tumepeleka watoto vaccination, Gertrudes. We have done 1 million vaccines, Aki, and so expensive. This hospital though. This hospital. 6K, 7K, 9K, etc. I reached a place, nikachana nazo. I know better for my next Miss D. A vaccine after a vaccine. And do you know what a vaccine is? A vaccine is actually taking, let's say like a typhoid vaccine. You simply take this typhoid bacteria, you remove what we call it the pathogenicity, the gene or the part that is causing it to be toxic. And then you introduce it into our system, so that our immune system recognizes it and then makes antibodies against it. That's how vaccines work. So why don't we just let these children get exposure to the bacteria itself plus its toxic part? Why don't we do that? And then we treat them. When they get better, they have now immune system that is active against the same bacteria. Why do we like shortcuts? It is not our fault. It's the fault of the healthcare system that actually made us cash cows. They've made you a cash cow. They've made your child a cash cow. Now these children are going to have all these gut problems. And then your child will start having all these problems with the egg allergies. They are not egg allergies. The protein in the egg is actually used in vaccines. Did you know that? Did it surprise you? Imewa surprise. Hey. Masema protein allergies. Me, I'm looking at your child. I'm thinking, how many vaccines are they taken in? You're blaming protein for what is in your vaccine. We bonded kwa makofi na mateke and mnapenda babangu tena sana. Kama sio kichapo singekuwa na okoa maisha ya watu. This is Sharon Mwika. Yeah. Oh, I get it, Sharon. That we bonded kwa makofi na mateke. Yes. Listen, our mothers actually made us love them by just slapping us. Slapping the hell out of us. Sometimes you're there just doing something and a slap comes from the air. You're like, "Aye, what did I do?" Before you even realize it. Factory resetting. Factory resetting is back. So you want to bond with your child because you're carrying a child in a baby carrier or pushing that stuff, and yourself, you're doing a walk. You're obese, so you're doing a walk. You're unable to carry your child. That's why you need support. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope that you have actually gained something from this conversation. If you've not, put it in the comment section. I'll be quick to actually answer that. Okay? And I hope that you can actually continuously fix your gut because you need it. You need to fix that gut. If you don't fix the gut, microorganisms will fix you. They'll put you where you belong. So it's time for us to take responsibility. Stop blaming typhoid. Stop blaming cholera. Stop blaming dysentery. Stop blaming salmonella or brucellosis, the brucella bacteria. Stop blaming them. Stop blaming this type of antibiotic because it's not working with you. I just want the original one. Stop that blame game. Take responsibility. Accept or admit that you are actually a person who is weak. Your diets are a mess. Now you need to fix those diets. Through that, you fix your gut. Once you fix your gut, secondary to that, these conditions will never attack you. You will never see hospital dose. You will never see hospital gets. And I hope you get to learn this. I hope you get to see this. I hope my role here is to actually make sure that you see the bigger picture. I hope so. Kindly talk about cervical cancer prevention in relation to HPV vaccine. Now, HPV can expose you to cervical cancer. However, 90% of the cases, HPV is suppressed by your immune system. Viral conditions are suppressed by you having a super immune system. So HPV is destroyed by your immune system. Go and read about it, the data about HPV vaccine. It is suppressed naturally by your immune system. But because you have a weak immune system, HPV becomes prominent. Now look at it this way. They give you a HPV vaccine to prevent you from getting cervical cancer when you are 10 years and below. And then they will feed you with hormonal contraceptives for free in the same hospital that they gave you the vaccine when you get to 18. So only 10 years after you've gotten the vaccine to protect you from getting cervical cancer, 10 years down the line or 8 years down the line, they are busy giving you hormonal contraceptives to prevent you from getting pregnant and then expose you to cancer. Hello? Are you thinking? Are you thinking? They push this to our children in schools. They pushed it to our children in schools. Our younger girls in schools, they are pushed to take this HPV vaccine to prevent them from getting cervical cancer. Cervical cancer, the larger percentage of it is actually estrogen levels going up. Where are we getting estrogen from? Hormonal contraceptives. The same contraceptives that they'll give you when you're 18 so that you can continuously have unprotected sex and reckless sex. And that they can protect you from getting pregnant because they think that they'll control population. The same people who brought the HPV vaccine, the same people who are bringing you hormonal contraceptives. Attacking and defending at the same time. How are they preventing you from getting HPV, from getting cervical cancer, yet they are giving you the same thing that exposes you to cervical cancer later on in life? They just wanted you to forget, right? Imagine that. You take HPV vaccine. Well done. What is the role? Prevent me from getting cervical cancer. Thank you. Next, 18 years down the line, take these hormonal contraceptives. What are they for? Preventing me from getting pregnant. Family planning. What do they have? Estrogen. What is estrogen doing here? What is the side effect of estrogen? Cervical cancer. Hello? Anyway, let's keep opening our eyes. Instead of giving those vaccines, simply boost your child's immunity by changing their diets and encouraging them to go into intermittent fasting. It is that easy. As you feed your children with bad foods, of course, you'll need the vaccines because you're weakening the immune system and you will keep on weakening the immune system. So thank you so much for attending this. It's been 1 hour, 41 minutes of health information free of charge. Thank you for subscribing on my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. and sharing this information. And thank you so much for being an amazing audience. I hope that I can see you on Friday for Identity Fridays, same place, same time, to keep fixing your problems. And through that we learn, all of us will learn, and there's always something new. If you've not checked out on my Identity Friday videos, go on my live section or go on my playlist and check the live section where we have the Identity Fridays. Enjoy the content before coming in to pull the strings. So go enjoy that content, know what we're talking about during that session, then come in. And on Friday, we're talking about, of course, relationships, marriage. Oh, roles. It's going to offend a lot of people. It's going to offend those males who are married, those boys who are married, because nowadays we have married boys. Oh, we are going to bring it down. The roof is going to come down. And as always, I never, ever disappoint. So let's see you on Friday as we do this, okay? So you have a good night, and may God keep you safe. And always stay present. Stay conscious about life and stay present. We live in the present. We live in the present. Always stay present. You deserve better, and better you shall get. Have a good night.